And you must decide yourself what side you wish to be on.
We've also received, for that question, not only did we receive money, but we also received a small jewelry skull and crossbones.
The sign
and a small ceramic peasant woman doing laundry.
That really is a small peasant woman. That's incredibly tiny. I hope we don't lose track of her.
Do you have room for this stuff in your apartment?
This might be the thing that breaks the last straw. But we, this is like a decoration, a medal.
If there's no show next week, you'll know that those two tiny items cost a book-valanche in Hal's apartment.
Could happen.
And his 80,000 billion tons of books crashing through the floor into the cafe underneath him.
I'm prepared.
And his landlord can finally evict him after all these decades of him paying 48 cents a month in rent.
It'll happen anyway because Gavin Newsom has announced that all buildings with storefronts on the bottom will have to be evicted while they make them earthquake safe. Naturally we could be made safe from an earthquake or any act of God. God forbid that there should be any uncertainty in our lives, or that we should choose to live in a place distinguished by earthquakes or any other form of natural activity, in this case seismic. But the major effect will be a dispossession of poor folks and a greater accumulation of rich folks, and largely get rid of Latinos who are in their houses and not paying the full rent as specified by Dianne Feinstein and other villains, just as they threw out the blacks more than 40 years ago.
What the fuck is up with all this dismal woe?
Yes, birth is accompanied by pain. And as long as new things come into being, there will be the pain of birth. My mother groaned, my father wept. Into the dangerous world I left. And so you see, without pain in creation, all one has is a very comfortable slide into decay, old age, senescence, and destruction. A little bit of agony keeps us going, and I was merely making the proper observance of it as I quoted some of the lines from William Blake's poem, Milton, when I came on stage.
Hal, what the fuck is up with all this dismal woe? I thought we were going to try to turn the show around. I thought we were going to take our best foot forward. Lighten it up. KroB, come on. Let's get Cynthia over here. Come on. It's the question about the separate reality question. Who asked the separate reality question? About the separate reality. Morphed separate reality. You guys are pointing at each other? Come on, who asked the stupid question?
So now it's a stupid question? Well, anyone who volunteered now would be heroic, willing to stand up for one's principles.
I encourage you to lie and say that you wrote this question and come up here on the stage right now.
I think Chicken has only sweet plans for you. Sweet plans.
I encourage you to lie and come up onto the stage and say, I wrote the question. It's me. You were not. There you go. Separate reality.
Yeah, the concept is seductive, is it not? One can have a separate reality, one just cannot be separate from reality. Even those who are thought to be delusional have actually only made their own accommodation with reality through the application of so-called mental illness, which is actually a form of adjustment.
What's the question? If there could be another question.
We gave her Fernet, now she's out of control. She's totally out of control. She's hooked. She wants more. She couldn't even get it down.
Questioner has gone wild.
Sir, your question cannot be answered here. In order for you to understand the answer to the question, you have to go somewhere else. Please, sir, sit still. and drink this. It'll make you feel better.
Go somewhere else mentally. As we produce what we call a KroB moment.
A KroB moment.
Yeah,
let's drink that.
This is your KroB moment. I actually need refreshing as to what the question was. I kind of forgot what the question was. You gotta tell me one more time. What's the question? What is it?
Ladies and gentlemen, the question is as follows. Is this real, or have we morphed into a separate reality? Is this real, or have we morphed into a separate reality?
My friend.
Is this real, or have we morphed into a separate reality?
You have phrased this question controversially, but there is no decision between opposite poles. And now, through understanding of interaction and the hidden poles of pleasure and pain, I can tell you that you have morphed into a separate reality. And it will do you no harm. It may do you credit. Do you understand? For if anything is a separate reality, it's what we call a KroB moment.
Separate reality.
Separate but equal.
Separate reality.
So always separate your realities.
Dr. Hal.
Yeah?
I have a friend who agreed to host a radio station on his roof.
No, don't do it!
Continue.
But now that it's up, the station really, really sucks. Even though he's getting free internet out of it, should he pull out because the radio sucks enough already?
If you suspend support of it, that will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will never have the opportunity to develop as it would have with your participation. You never know what you might hear on the radio these days. Now, KroB and I, Dr. Hal, were thrown off Pirate Cat Radio, but we might appear on some other radio station. So stay tuned and keep sweeping your radio dial. And one other thing, if you are in the Dolores Park area, in Upper Dolores Park, please make sure to tune in to my hour-and-a-half-long broadcast on the subject of nonchalance, which plays repeatedly only in that area. And you'll probably hear it if you tune in to the Puzzling Evidence Show this week on KPFA, 94.1 FM on your radio dial, with KPFB in Berkeley, KFCF in Fresno, KZFR in Chico, and like that. All right. Okay.
Here we go. Question number 1. Would you like this to be your question, Dawn?
Okay.
Okay, this is... Okay. Why for do we have toenails?
Good question.
It's $20. You just gave that for $20. Why for...
I paid your hard
Is it... So can I change it a little bit, Hal?
Oh, yeah, sure, if you want to.
Why for toenails, Hal?
Well, that sounds like one fewer than there ought to be. There are only 5 toenails on each foot. But seriously, folks, wherefore and why, wherefore meaning why, are there toenails? Well, we have the theological explanation. We have the scientific or evolutionary explanation. And we have the philosophical explanation. Last first, things are as they are because they could not be otherwise. The anthropic principle means that they are as they are, so we can experience them as they are. But what's the theological reason? The theological reason is that God has toenails. Therefore, man, being in the image of God, also has toenails. God made man out of dust, and he's like a little miniature of God. We know from reading the book of Exodus that God has buttocks, because Moses was allowed to see them as a singular mark of divine favor.